In a commercial installation, the question arises whether a cable tray containing CAT5 data and telephone wiring requires bonding, even if the CAT5 wiring itself does not require an equipment grounding conductor. National Electrical Code Section 725.56 indicates that data wiring should be reclassified as communications cable and installed per Article 800. Article 800.110 further specifies installation according to Chapter 3. Section 392.7 mandates grounding per 250.96, which states that cable trays serving as grounding conductors shall be bonded. To address this, it's important to understand that the inspector's directive to bond the tray is accurate, despite CAT5 wiring's lack of grounding conductor requirement. The requirement stems from Section 392.7 of the National Electrical Code, which explicitly states that cable trays shall be grounded in accordance with 250.96. Section 250.96 details the conditions under which cable trays must be bonded, particularly when they are intended to serve as grounding conductors. Although the CAT5 wire running in the tray doesn't inherently require an equipment grounding conductor, and the tray itself is not designed to function as a grounding conductor, the key is that the tray is being used to support the CAT5 wire and is therefore considered a cable tray. The interpretation of the code leads to the conclusion that if a cable tray is present, it falls under the stipulations of 392.7 and, consequently, must be grounded. To provide more clarity, let's break down the relevant sections of the National Electrical Code. Firstly, Section 392.7 is paramount, as it establishes the fundamental requirement for grounding cable trays. This section does not discriminate based on the type of wiring the tray supports, whether it's power conductors, signaling cables, or data cables like CAT5. Secondly, Section 250.96 elaborates on the grounding and bonding of cable trays and other metal enclosures. It specifies that cable trays used as equipment grounding conductors must be bonded. However, it also implicitly covers scenarios where the tray isn't intended for grounding but still requires bonding due to its presence as a metal structure supporting electrical or communication cables. The rationale behind this requirement is multifaceted. 1. It ensures electrical safety by providing a path for fault current to return to the source, minimizing the risk of electric shock. 2. It reduces electromagnetic interference, which can disrupt the performance of sensitive electronic equipment. 3. It prevents the buildup of static electricity, which can damage electronic components. The code emphasizes that any metal cable tray, regardless of its specific function, must be grounded to maintain a safe electrical environment. Consider the scenario from a broader perspective. Imagine a fault occurs in the CAT5 wiring or in another cable sharing the tray. Without proper bonding and grounding, the cable tray could become energized, posing a significant hazard to personnel who might come into contact with it. By bonding the tray, you create a low impedance path for fault current, allowing the overcurrent protective device, such as a circuit breaker or fuse, to quickly clear the fault. In the context of the National Electrical Code, bonding refers to the permanent joining of metallic parts to form an electrically conductive path that ensures electrical continuity and the capacity to conduct safely any fault current likely to be imposed on it. Grounding, on the other hand, refers to connecting the electrical system to the earth, providing a reference point for voltage and facilitating the flow of fault current. In the case of cable trays, bonding ensures that all sections of the tray are electrically connected, while grounding connects the tray to the earth or a grounded conductor. It's important to note that the specific methods for bonding and grounding cable trays are detailed in other sections of the National Electrical Code, including 250.45, 250.8, 250.64, and 314.4. These sections provide guidance on the size and type of grounding conductors, the methods for connecting grounding conductors to the tray, and the requirements for grounding electrode systems. To ensure compliance with the National Electrical Code and to maintain a safe electrical installation, it is crucial to follow the inspector's directive and bond the cable tray, even if the CAT5 wiring does not require an equipment grounding conductor. This approach aligns with the intent of the code, which is to provide a comprehensive framework for electrical safety regardless of the specific application. Furthermore, adhering to this requirement can prevent potential hazards, minimize the risk of electrical shock, and ensure the reliable operation of electronic equipment. The function of grounding cable trays helps to reduce the risk of electrical hazards and improve the overall safety of the electrical system. Firstly, grounding provides a low impedance path for fault currents to return to the source, which helps to trip over current protection devices quickly, minimizing the duration of the fault and reducing the risk of electric shock. Secondly, grounding helps to equalize the voltage potential between different metal parts of the electrical system, reducing the risk of voltage differences that could cause electric shock. Thirdly, grounding helps to dissipate static electricity, which can build up on cable trays and other metal surfaces, reducing the risk of electrostatic discharge that could damage sensitive electronic equipment. Grounding cable trays also helps to improve the performance and reliability of the electrical system. Firstly, grounding helps to reduce electromagnetic interference, which can disrupt the operation of electronic equipment. Secondly, grounding helps to stabilize the voltage, providing a more consistent and reliable power supply. Thirdly, grounding helps to reduce the risk of corrosion, which can damage cable trays and other metal components. When installing cable trays, it's crucial to follow the manufacturer's instructions and the requirements of the National Electrical Code. This includes selecting the appropriate size and type of cable tray for the application, properly supporting the cable tray, and ensuring that all connections are made correctly. It's also important to inspect the cable tray regularly for any signs of damage or corrosion and to repair or replace any damaged components promptly. Furthermore, consider the specific requirements of the installation environment. For example, in corrosive environments, it may be necessary to use cable trays made of corrosion-resistant materials or to apply a protective coating to the cable trays. In areas with high levels of electromagnetic interference, it may be necessary to use shielded cable trays or to install additional shielding to reduce interference. It is very important to consider the long-term maintenance and upkeep of the cable tray system. This includes routine inspections to identify any signs of corrosion, damage, or loose connections. Regular cleaning of the cable trays can also help to prevent the buildup of dust, dirt, and other contaminants that could affect their performance. Additionally, it's essential to keep accurate records of all inspections, maintenance activities, and repairs to ensure that the cable tray system remains in good working condition and meets all applicable safety standards. Remember to consult with a qualified electrical engineer or inspector if you have any questions or concerns about the installation or maintenance of cable trays. They can provide valuable guidance and ensure that the installation meets all applicable codes and standards. While the CAT5 cable itself may not require a ground, the metallic tray the CAT5 sits in is required to be grounded. If the CAT5 wire runs do not require an equipment grounding conductor, this does not negate the requirement to bond when running them in a tray, and it makes the inspector correct. Cable trays, when used, must be bonded according to the rules outlined in the National Electrical Code. Firstly, cable trays are required to be grounded per section 392.7a. Secondly, cable trays that are to serve as grounding conductors shall be bonded per section 250.96. While the CAT5 may not need grounding, and if the tray is not intended to be a grounding conductor, grounding is still required.